All right, now in this video, I'm going to explain how to use the macros in order to create a figure where the process of the macro is overlaid over the original image so that you can demonstrate or make a figure that shows what the macro is actually calculating, and so the examiners or people looking at your thesis can see what was being counted by the software. So to do that, first of all, open up an image, and I'm going to choose this one, but it can be any of your images with a region of interest around it. This one just happened to have a nice Niagara, so I chose that one. Now we're going to run the macro, but just run it once. And so if you go up to plugins, macros, and run, we then choose a macro. Now the macro for batching, we've got a couple of lines in it that close all the windows between each of the images, but we don't want that because we want to actually do something with those images. So we're going to choose this macro here in which we've taken those close steps out. So Niagara cell counts single images is the one that we're going to choose, and that just doesn't close them afterwards, but it does everything else exactly the same way. Now, one other thing that this macro does, which the batch macro doesn't do, is all of these outlines of the cells, it adds to the region of interest manager. So each of these little circles that you can see, which is one of the cells that it's detected, is now in the region of interest manager. And that's how we're going to add these outlines to the original image. So what we're going to do now that we've got that is now we can close these images down, and we'll open up that same image that we ran the macro on, which is just this one here, and bring up your region of interest manager and highlight all the regions of interest. So I just clicked on the top one, left clicked on the top one, and press shift and left click on the bottom one, and just click show all, and that just brings everything up. Now if we zoom in, so I'm pressing control and scroll, so that shows the outline on top of the original image. Now we want to adjust a couple of things so that the outlines stand out a little bit better. So at the moment, so just deselect everything. So I'm pressing the deselect everything button in the region of interest manager. Scroll up to the top. That's our region of interest outline. So now go to properties, and we want that to be blue, so that color's fine, but let's make that a pixel width of 5 and click OK. So now that's made a thicker line. When we deselect that line, so that cyan fine line going through it just means that that's the line that we've currently selected. So when you select something else, that will go away. And then we have our blue line, which is 5 pixels thick. Now we want to change the color of the outlines of the cells. So if we highlight all of the cell colors, so you can see from the second entry in the region of interest manager down to the bottom, I'm pressing shift and left clicking on the bottom one. So now I've selected all of them. Click properties, or click properties I should say. And let's change that to red. And we'll change that to 2 pixels thick and click OK. Now if we zoom out, so now you can see that we've got our region of interest, which is outlined in blue, and you can see that the cells that are detected by that macro are outlined in red. So now you can use that as a figure to show what the macro is doing.